everyone, today we're going to be making a shark collage. So in order to do this, you're going to need a blue piece of paper, a gray piece of paper, some black and white paper, as well as scissors and a glue stick. You're also going to want a pencil that you can draw on your papers with before we cut and glue them out. In some parts of this, I might be using a marker to draw with instead of the pencil, and that's only so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit easier. Lastly, to add some details, you can use any coloring materials you wish: chalk, color pencil, crayon, marker, oil, pastel, whatever. But we'll talk about that at the end. Let's go. All right, we have our blue ocean background, and what we're going to do first is take our gray paper and we are going to fold it in half the long way. This is also sometimes referred to as the hot dog fold. So we're going to fold it in half. We're going to try to line the edges up, and we're going to crease the other end so that it's a nice straight line. And then we're going to draw a shape for our shark. And then after we cut it out, we're going to fold it. We're going to get a really symmetrical, that means even and the same on both sides, shape for a shark. Now you can do this step with your pencil. Again, I'm going to use my marker so that you can see what I'm doing. Now I don't want to go all the way to the tippy top of the page because I want to make sure that my shark is short enough that I'll still have room at the top for water and fish and things like that. So I'm going to start right where the fold is. Make sure you're on the fold, not the open side. Okay, the open side is still over here. I'm going to start maybe halfway down or a third of my way down on my paper. I'm going to draw a line and I'm going to go out, a big curved line. I'm going to have it end at the corner here. So you can see what that shape looks like. It went from the corner all the way up and I went to a point right about there. Okay, so that's the shape of the line. Again, look how much space I have at the top. If you have a shorter paper, you might not need to leave much space. You might instead be able to use your whole space. Now I'm going to, with my paper still folded, okay, still folded, I'm going to cut on the line that I drew with my scissors. And when I open it up, I have a really great shape that's going to make a wonderful shark shape. A shark, the shape of a shark's nose pointing up. So once I have this shape, I'm going to glue on the back, the side where I had drawn on. And when you glue, make sure you glue the outside edge of it. That is the most important part to glue. You almost never need to glue right in the middle. I like to put a little extra in the middle just in case, but you really want the edges. That is the most important part. Then I'm going to take my shark and I'm going to line it up with the bottom of my paper. I'm trying to make it even down here. And then I'm going to flatten it with my hands so I have a nice flat shark. All right, now I need to get a mouth in here. So I'm going to take my black paper and I'm going to fold it in half. So from one of the short ends to the other short end, I'm going to line them up, have them meet, and crease it. And I'm going to draw what I would consider a nice open mouth shape. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it a little bit easier because I will be doing this in pencil. Right. So somewhere on the paper, the side with the seam, once again with the seam, okay, not the open side. The open side is going to stay flat, but the side with the seam is where I'm going to start my drawing. And I'm going to draw a curve that goes down, and then it's going to go across. And you can see what shape I've created. You want to create a similar shape to that. Again, keeping your paper folded, we're going to cut along the line that we drew. And when we open it up, we have a great downward mouth shape for our shark. Now we're going to glue this in place. When you're gluing it, put it near the bottom of your shark, so not super high. We want to have room for eyes and nose of our shark, so I'm going to put it down a little bit lower. And now I'm ready to put in some teeth, eyes, and a nose. I think since I have my black paper already folded in half, I think I'm going to move into the eyes. So I'm going to take it with it still folded in half. I'm going to take my black paper and I'm just going to draw a circle on my black paper, just like that. Make sure it's a good size. You can kind of hold it up to your paper to see how, to your shark paper, so you can see how big the eye is going to be compared to it. And I'm going to cut with the paper folded in half, cut out my circle shape. And because I folded it in half, I actually have two circle shapes. So I have two eyeballs that are the exact same size. Makes it really easy and perfect. So I'm now going to take my glue, put it on my circles, and I'm going to put those on my shark as well. You want these kind of near the top of the shark now. One on one side, one on the other side. And we're going to have a little bit of a spot up here for the nose. Once again, I'm going to use my folded black paper, and I'm just going to make like a small little like oval shape. You can see how small and tiny that little oval shape is. And that's going to be one of my nostrils. So I'm going to be cutting along here. Now, I could draw it on instead, but I am trying to make my shark a complete collage. That means a picture that is made out of only cut pieces of paper. So I'm trying to cut out all of my pieces, but if you run out of time or you just don't have the ability to cut it out, you can always just draw the nose on also. That's definitely totally fine. Our little nose is going to be here at the very tippy tip, so I'm going to put one over here, one over here. That's going to be the sort of nostril of my shark. Now, it doesn't quite look like a shark fully yet, but that's because we have to add our final touches, which is the sharp shark teeth and the little glimmer of a speck inside this eyeball. So I'm going to take my white paper and I'm going to be drawing on some triangles that I can put inside this layer of teeth here. So I'm going to take my pencil and using one edge of the paper, I'm going to be drawing some triangles. Let me show you what that's going to look like. So right here, I'm going to draw some triangle shapes, and I'm doing it right on the edge because I actually will give me a lot less to cut if I do it this way, because I won't have to cut one side of it. I'll only have to cut the other two sides. So I'm going to cut a bunch of them, and actually when I get to the bottom here, I'm going to draw a line straight across. Might seem a little weird. Why am I going to do that? You're going to see why in a minute. So I drew a line straight across underneath, and here is why. When I cut on this line, I'm going to cut right on these lines, and now I have lots of teeth. Instead of just the 4 I drew, I'm going to have a lot of extra because of the extra line that I drew. Now your teeth can be skinnier, they can be bigger, whatever you want, but we're going to put these in place now in our mouth. Alright, so now I'm going to fit these in and see if I have enough space for them all. If I need to cut any smaller ones maybe. I think that fits really great for the top row. If I wanted to put any down here, I think I might need to cut some that are a little bit smaller. So I might make and cut a few smaller triangles just to get inside here. But once you have the amount that you want, you're going to just glue them in place. Last little bit of collage to finish up our shark is I'm going to cut out a tiny little sliver of white. It can be any shape you want, and I'm going to just glue that right on top of the black here, and that's going to make it look like a little highlight in the eye of my shark. So I just have a tiny little speck, could be any shape, mine are triangles, yours could be circles, whatever, and I'm just putting them there to create a little speck inside the eye of my shark. All right, now we're going to move on to part 2, which is going to be decorating the top part of our ocean. Okay, now we're ready for our part 2, where we're going to be adding some details. So we're actually going to add a shadow to half of our shark, and then we're going to use a variety of different materials. It really depends on what you want to use for the background above the water. We want to kind of maybe have some fish, or maybe have some waves at the top of the water to show that the shark is in the ocean. So I'm actually going to be taking a chalk pastel to create a shadow. You could also use charcoal or anything like that, but I'm going to take this black charcoal or chalk pastel, and I'm just going to rub it on half of my shark's face, and I'm trying to just focus on just the actual face, not so much the teeth and the other parts. I'm just doing the one half right here. And then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to smudge and blend it out so it looks a little bit more shadowy. All right, now that I have the shadow done on half of my shark, I'm going to add some details in the background. Now I can continue with chalk pastel. If you like working with chalk, then that's totally fine. I have a whole variety of colors that you could choose from. You could also use a variety of other things, like maybe oil pastel or construction paper crayons, or even some markers, anything that you think is going to help show up on your paper. So I'm going to actually continue with my chalk, and you can see my finger got a little dirty, but not all my fingers, just the one that I was using to blend with. So just be careful when you are blending that you are changing your fingers, so you're always using a clean finger, and make sure you have a wet cloth or maybe a baby wipe around that you can clean up when you need to. So I'm just going to add some details. I think I'm going to take this light blue and do some swirls near the top to show the top of the water, kind of the surface of it. If I want to blend it out a little bit, I'll use my finger, this time a different finger because I don't want to get black all in it. I'm also going to create a few waves and ripples around here to make it look like my shark is in the water. If you want to put some of those ripples on your shark too, you could do that. It would make it look like the shark is actually in the water. So I have a few little waves and ripples that are going on top of my shark as well. See those little lines I drew? And I think I'm going to add maybe some fish that are floating around. Maybe this shark wants to gobble them up. So I'm going to draw a little fish. If you're not sure how to draw fish, I can zoom in and show you real quick. You want to create a arch like that, and then an arch underneath as well. So it's kind of like a squished circle, more like an oval shape. And then you're going to put a triangle, a sideways triangle on the end. That's how you create a really simple fish drawing. I'm actually going to color it in because I want it to be nice and bright. Just keep in mind, if you use chalk, that it is easily smudged, so you just want to be careful with it if you're going to be using chalk. If you're using a different material where it doesn't smudge very well, then you're fine. There's my finished shark design. I decided to add a few different fish. I kind of added a few little colors on top, a couple little dots for eyes, and I added a few little bubbles as well. So it looks like these cute little fish are floating around above this scary shark that looks like he's trying to come up and nab them. I hope you guys had fun making this adorable little shark ocean drawing, and I absolutely cannot wait to see the fun shark faces you make and the creative fishy backgrounds as well. Have fun. See you next time.